another story tonight that was coming up from pwinsider.com is that it appears that Kevin Dunn is going to be leaving WWE after decades with this company. I mean, this guy was as much part of the WWE fabric as anyone, I would say, including the McMahons. I mean, this guy's had a longer tenure than most of the McMahon family, but his role was, very, very high up, obviously, as the executive producer and chief of global television distribution. And PW Insider reporting that he informed WWE around Christmas week that he was exiting after more than 3 decades with the company. And the site reports that they're told that a big factor in his decision to retire is changes internally post Endeavor acquisition, and that Dunn was, quote, never going to do anything that was I think he means dictated to him, as opposed to how he personally oversaw production in the past. We're told that this was not an issue of creative, but 2 differing versions of how things should be run from a TV production perspective. And Dunn goes back even further because his father worked with the company. That's going back to 1972. And then Kevin was hired full-time in 1984. So for our lifetimes, Kevin Dunn has been working with the WWF. He's been their executive producer of all programming since 93. I mean, it is his fingerprints that are all over the company, the look, the image, everything. So this is a massive, massive departure for the company. And you have to go back to just a couple of weeks when we were talking about Mark Shapiro's comments about, still looking like at production, and not so much like whether this is Kevin Dunn stepping away on his own volition or something else at play. The fact is, Mark Shapiro did echo that the fact that, he has butted heads with people in production, and seems like that is an area that they do want to, that they still see for cost cutting and such. But I mean, I could certainly, just from those Mark Shapiro comments, I mean, when you're saying you're clashing with or arguing with people in production, that's Kevin Dunn. So I'm sure there was some friction there, and probably, we'll see in time if more comes out over this, because it's such a massive name that you just assumed would be someone, as long as Vince McMahon was there, that you assumed Kevin Dunn would be as well.
And I suppose a move like this kind of tells you the status of a Vince McMahon currently, at least, on a day-to-day operations type of level, or maybe not. Maybe we can't exactly tell, but strictly speaking about Kevin Dunn, I feel I probably criticized a lot of what he's done personally, and most people, I would say, in our community probably don't necessarily look at that name or very fondly, but he has created pretty much like our complete understanding.
The WWE you watch, like, that is, as much as you want to look at like the creative and what comes from Vince, it's like the aesthetic and the look. And believe me, Kevin Dunn had as much influence in there in terms of somebody that Vince McMahon readily relied upon and was clearly a trusted right-hand man. I mean, Kevin Dunn is as much about the makeup of this company, I would argue, as a Vince McMahon. I mean, he's not the final say, but I mean, he's like one heartbeat away from it.
Yeah. And I imagine there are a lot of things that, we might not necessarily credit him for that we all enjoy about WWE production or professional wrestling production that he's had a tremendous influence on. So, 30 years, it's a lifetime, really.
There was a few years ago, I think I've told this story, but there was a few years ago before a WrestleMania, and I made the pitch about trying to get Kevin Dunn on, and the idea would have been like, the production of a WrestleMania, like take us into like the nuts and bolts of planning your biggest show of the year from a broadcast perspective. And sometimes when I'll make a request and it's not going to happen, they're just not going to respond to you. This one, I think I got an answer within 60 seconds, and it was pretty much, there's no way that's going to happen. And that was my one attempt to interview Kevin Dunn. So now that he is free, more than welcome to join myself and Brandon Thurston any week. He would carry, pending our schedules, of course, if we have a guest booked in advance. But there you go, Kevin Dunn.